John Banks has been found guilty of filing a false tax return, and now Labor want an inquiry into why the police didn't go for a prosecution. So, Chris, explain, what's the point of an inquiry?
Well, the police looked into it and said that there wasn't a case to answer, yet a High Court judge said there was and actually prosecuted him. So you've got to ask some questions about what the police actually did to see whether there was a case or not, because it doesn't quite marry up, does
Around
it?
the panel, do you feel sorry at all? I mean, media's kind of mixed on this one, eh? Some people actually feel quite sorry for John Banks. David Bennett, do you feel sorry at all for John Banks?
Well, I think the politics is you put yourself in the ring, and it's a hard game, and you
But
do
you feel sorry for?
You do
for
feel
Banks?
sorry for anybody personally
And for him?
that
And for John?
has to go through that, and because we all know what it's like when you, and it would be difficult for him and his family.
All right. What about you, Tracy? Do you feel sorry at all for John Banks?
No, actually, because it was the ACT Party that laid charges against my mother in 2008 for exactly the same incident.
Explain
she
that. What do you
She
mean?
was the party secretary for New Zealand First. Rodney Hyde went down and laid charges against her on a fraudulent return. She was cleared by the police, the Electoral Commission, and the Serious Fraud Office. So no, I don't feel sorry for him at all.
What about you, Stefan? What about you?
I think he let New Zealanders down right at the start because he lied. He lied to New Zealanders. He couldn't remember, getting $50,000. He couldn't remember asking for it. That's where he fell down.
So what about, David, do you see any merit in a special investigation like an inquiry, like what Labor's calling for?
Probably not at this stage. I think it's up to the police, and they make those
No,
judgments.
it was up to the police.
Yeah,
It
no,
was up
I
to the
don't
police.
see the point now. He's given up his career, so the blood's on the table.
Isn't it half of the police, though?
Pardon?
Isn't it half of the police?
No, it shouldn't be. If they were there to look at some of the documentation that the Prime Minister didn't bother looking at, the High Court obviously thought there was a case to answer and prosecuted, yet the police didn't think there was. I just think that's completely bizarre.
I'll come back to you guys, but I just want to get engaging from the audience with Damien. Do you feel sorry for John Banks at all, Damien?
Do I feel sorry? I thought we were going to get hands up. Hands up who feels sorry for John Banks. It's like a Brazilian World Cup Mexican wave in here. There was a woman in the pink jacket. Did you sort of feel sorry before you, did you?
Oh, did you hear me say that?
Yeah, apparently. Well, no, my producer did magically from inside the van outside. Did you feel sorry?
A little bit.
It's okay if you did. You're a human.
Yeah.
He's a human.
35%.
You feel 35% sorry. Yep. So that's one person out of 100 divided by 30. There's about 0.035% of the backbenchers audience.
The other big thing that came out of it, now Peter Dunn wrote a very interesting post about it, in fact today. He calls party funding a bit of a cancer. Colin Craig, and there's $2.5 million, Kim.com and $3 million. Are these sorts of parties, these alliances, are they buying an election? What do you think, Chris?
Oh, well, we've seen big money being thrown around. If anyone wants to buy a ticket to my $45 fundraiser in a couple of weeks, they're most welcome to do that. But I think you get yourself in trouble when you start dealing with these big donations from people like Kim.com. And do I feel sorry for Banks? No, not particularly. I agree with Tracy. We should be held to a higher standard.
What about the funding? What about the, for example, the civilian party, right? Here is a satirical, pretty funny Ben Ufendal. He gets $33,000. He actually said he wanted more. He wanted $1 million. What do you think? The Taxpayer Union, David said it was outrageous. What do you make of his 33 grand to the civilian party?
Well, in the context of it, it looks like a bit of a joke, but it's a political system. There's funding for political parties, and he had a political party, so under the rules, he gets it. So
that's fine.
That's the rules.
Well, what do you make of it, Tracy?
First of all, I'm waiting to see the Taxpayer Union comment on Lockwood Smith's apartment charges while we have a residence available for him. But with regard to this issue, you should have to prove as a political party that there is actually people that want to support you, more than 500 people in New Zealand.
So you're saying no, you're saying the civilian party didn't...
We're saying run first time and raise the money yourself first time, and if, depending on your percentage, then the equation starts to make sense.
So you're saying no to the civilian party funding?
First-time parties.
I think last election, New Zealand First wanted extra money because they weren't in government and
Yeah,
they were polling, weren't they, doing it on that?
Can we just explain that then? First of all, New Zealand First got 4.4 or something % and got $100,000. Have a look at what we actually achieved in every election compared to the poll. So let's say the equation's a little bit strange. Mr. Bennett, it doesn't suit his argument, but unfortunately, New Zealand First is more popular than he likes to think.
How do you raise your money, Stefan?
We have donors. We have a lot of fundraising, both in the party.
And what about personally? personally, you.
What do I do?
Yeah.
Well, we do 10% of our gross income. In fact, we do 11%, 1% to the global greens and 10% to the...
You tithe your income
we
to the
tithe our
party.
income to the party, so that's a hang of a good start.
Do you guys do that sort of thing?
Yeah, we do that, 10%.
10%? What do you do then?
No taxes.
No. Do you don't tithe?
Well, we don't tithe. No.
Would you think it's a good idea?
No, I don't think actually.
I don't know, is it a good idea? Would you take that idea to the caucus? We should tithe. We're a strong, brighter future national party tithing.
We don't need to tithe to do that. I think people
we know that.
have to
That's
raise
what
their money in the sense that they have to raise their money and that. And I don't think you want to have rules like that, which your members have to tithe.
Right, no tithing.
We actually think that the politics and the elections should be about ideas, not about who's got the most
Tracy,
money.
what about tithing? 10%? That's not a bad idea.
No, I fund my own campaign. I fund
How?
the party office.
How do you do that?
Because from the money, I pay for it all. I pay for all the pamphlets. I pay for all the business cards. I pay for the hoardings. I pay for everything. The template's provided to me, and I pay for it because we don't have the money that these people have.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, you do.
No, we
have a lot
don't.
less
What about the race? You have a racing industry? Oh, anyway.
No, we don't.